Have you ever wondered, are VPNs safe to use? Will I get in trouble for using a VPN? What is a quote-unquote safe VPN? Well, if you're new to VPNs, these are actually normal questions to ask, and I hope I can answer all of them in this video. Okay, before we get into talking about whether VPNs are safe or not, let's quickly explain what a VPN even is. So a VPN, or a virtual private network, is a service that creates a secure connection between your device, be it a laptop, desktop, smartphone, or tablet, to a remote server or computer, usually located in a different country. Now, in turn, that means that when you connect to a VPN, your connection is secure and private, but as I've mentioned, if you connect to a VPN server that's in a different location or country, it will also make it appear to the internet as if you're from that country. Like say if I'm in the US and I'm connecting to a VPN that's somewhere in Germany, I will appear online as if I'm from Germany. Kind of self-explanatory. Now the question some have is whether or not you can get in trouble for appearing as if you're from another country online. And the short answer to that is no, with a few exceptions. Yes, so having all websites like Google, YouTube, and so on think you're from a different country 99% of the time is totally fine. Someone at Google or Facebook won't send a helicopter or something just because you're using a VPN. So really nothing bad can happen from that per se. However, there can be actually a few downsides of appearing from another country or location that you need to be aware of. Number one is some websites just straight up don't like you using a VPN. These range from dating sites to banking ones. A lot of dating websites tend to restrict you from being able to change your location, as it's usually a premium feature of some sort. While in online banks case, it's more of a security layer to prevent someone from a different place trying to log into your bank and trying to make a bunch of payments all of a sudden. And lastly, when it comes to other apps, or maybe more specifically video games, there can also be some issues where a game might detect you using a VPN and prevent you from playing to avoid taking advantage from playing from a different location, like farming easier game lobbies. Whether a website is sensitive to VPNs is highly dependent on the type of site, but in my experience, most sites don't really care whether you connect using a VPN or not, which I think is a good thing. And for those few websites that really don't like you using a VPN, I love having a VPN that has a bypasser feature that lets me not use a VPN for those few sites while still having it on for others. S-tier feature, if you ask me. Now, besides websites, we also have to cover countries, because while VPNs are legal, in fact, even the FBI recommends using one, there are countries which highly, and I do mean highly, try to ban VPNs. In such countries, a VPN will usually simply not work due to VPN blocks, and if you do manage to find one that works, there can be fines depending on the country. These countries include places like Russia, Iran, which in more recent years are really heavily blocking many VPNs, and all other countries are also China, the UAE, Belarus, just to name a few. Why do countries block VPNs? Well, it's definitely a way of censorship used to restrict people from these countries from accessing certain sites or information. That being said, the vast majority of areas where you use a VPN, you won't be facing any trouble, and it should work just fine, and you should not get a fine either. But speaking of fine, it would be really fine if your VPN that you're using wouldn't log any of your online activity. As we spoke in the latter part of the video, when connecting to a VPN, your connection goes through that VPN servers. In a sense, that VPN basically sees everything that you browse, every website, every URL, and you can imagine this is a pretty big risk, especially because that VPN, if it logs your data, can later sell it to advertisers or third parties, which is not a good thing at all. So how do you make sure that the VPN in question doesn't log your activity? One is to look if your VPN has a no logs policy, because independently verified no logs policy is a legal proof that they don't log your data. So again, it's important to make sure that it's not just another catchy buzzword. Always look for whether that no logs policy has actually been independently verified or audited by a third party. And these audits are more than just a pile of text, as they involve rigorous testing part of that VPN's infrastructure, its servers, applications, and so on. In 2026 and beyond, it's probably the best indicator whether a VPN is reputable or not. One thing to look for is the type of protocols that your VPN is using. Protocols like IPv2 and OpenVPN are fine, though they are getting there in age in regards to things like speed. Most VPNs today, however, do use the WireGuard protocol, or at least they use WireGuard as a base for their own in-house created VPN protocol. There's rarely any VPN today that has an outdated protocol like PP2P or L2TP. So beyond the protocol, what you can look at is the age of the VPN company. Like how many years it's been in business. Look at the track record of that VPN. Did that company have any data breaches or have its VPN VPN servers get hacked? Did they maybe gave their users data to law enforcement, and etc. While there sure might be a lot of VPNs out there, I feel like today, in 2026, there's only a dozen or so popular VPNs out there that you can really easily compare and pick the best one. And digging a bit deeper, you might also be wondering about free VPNs, as they do exist, and maybe you don't feel like dropping money on a VPN right now, which is totally okay. Free VPNs for me are not something I personally use and not something I would ever use today, but I have tried them out. And my general advice is that you should avoid free VPNs unless it's a premium paid VPN with a free tier available. Otherwise, you're kind of risking it, as most free VPNs do sell their user data in order to pay for the server maintenance that they provide. Running a VPN does cost money after all. So hey, maybe you're okay with that, which I think isn't the best practice. You can go with a free VPN, but just know that your data might be collected and then sold. So yeah, not to mention free VPNs often have their IP addresses scraped and blocked, which is a whole nother topic for another video in the future. All right, but in conclusion, is using a VPN safe? Mostly, yes. Again, the only caveats when using a VPN that you need to remember is the websites that are a bit more sensitive when it comes to VPNs. So they might, force you to disable the VPN in order to access them, or they have those security measures thinking it's not you because all of a sudden you're connecting from an unrecognized location. Beyond that, of course, like we spoke about, there are countries where VPN is just borderline illegal or literally illegal, and they're basically being actively blocked. Chances are in those countries, connecting may be difficult to near impossible. But what makes or breaks a VPN today is its reputation. Secure infrastructure, a good no-logs policy that's been verified, key point there, verified by an equally reputable company, and something that I didn't mention in the video before is user reviews. Just like you, I always go and check reviews for any product that I go out and buy just to make sure that I'm getting the best product ever. And so sites like Trustpilot, reading Reddit threads, YouTube reviews can be a good source for making that final decision as well. Oh, and since you're here, I guess it's as good as time as any to talk about Surfshark. As someone who's worked at Surfshark for over 5 years now, I can tell you that the people here actually really do care about providing the best tool to secure your online privacy. Not only that, the VPN is simply jam-packed with features like the aforementioned bypasser, which is a godsend when it comes to being able to continue using a VPN and just bypassing a few sites here and there that are a bit more stubborn. Look, I'm not going to mention every spec that Surfshark has. It's honestly more than plenty for an average user and even a more advanced user. Instead, I'll mention the things that are more relevant to the topic of this video, like how Surfshark has a strict no-logs policy, which has been independently verified by a reputable firm called Deloitte. It also has several patents in regards to VPN technology and has implemented that tech into its apps like Surfshark Everlink and Surfshark Fast Track. Also, Surfshark pushes VPN innovation whenever it can with projects like the 100 gigabit VPN server. Actually, it's the world's first 100 gigabit VPN server that was just released last year. And beyond all of that, Surfshark also has a research team who does studies on various topics in regards to cybersecurity to show potential risks in the tech and cybersec world, as well as online user privacy space. So yeah, if you need a reputable VPN, look, I'll just link it below to a great deal for Surfshark. But that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Surfshark, I'll leave this great video right here on how you can get started with Surfshark, how to install the app, set up your account, and all of that. But that'll be all for now. Take care.